those unforeseen opportunities amidst an uncertain world. What has this pandemic time meant in terms of opportunities? And so that's what we're going to focus our time on. We're joined again by our special guests. We got Pastor Dave with us today, Lisa Bouvet, and Janet Broadwell. I look forward to kind of facilitating our conversation. And as always, we're going to kind of ask Pastor if he would start us off to kind of ground us in our faith. So, Pastor Dave, go ahead and unmute yourself and please talk with us your wisdom.
Wisdom, you're funny. All right. Well, obviously, prayers for each and every one of you today. As I thought about all the different ways that I could go with this theme, talking about the creating of new habits, like taking the time to read your Bibles, or checking out daily or weekly devotionals, or prayer experiences. The more I thought about this theme, there was a parable that Jesus shares that just struck me, and I think in a new and different way. I'm not sure if he intended it this way or not, but through this lens, it kind of interpreted itself in a new way to me. And that's from Luke chapter 14, verses 16 through 24. I'm just going to read it. This is the NRSV version, and then just share a little bit about it. So then Jesus said to him, in response to this one man that Jesus was eating with, Jesus shares with him, someone gave a great dinner and invited many. At the time for the dinner, he sent his servant to say to those who'd been invited, come, for everything's ready now. But they all alike began to make excuses. The first said to him, I've bought a piece of land and I've got to go see to it. Please accept my regrets. Another said, I've bought 5 yoke of oxen and I'm going to try them out. Please accept my regrets. Another said, I've just been married and therefore I cannot come. So the servant returned and reported all this to his master. Then the owner of the house became angry and said to the servant, go out at once into the streets and lanes of the town and bring in the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. And the servant said, sir, what you have ordered has been done, and there is still room. And the master said to the servant, go out into the roads and lanes and compel people to come in so that my house may be filled. For I tell you, none of those who were invited will taste my dinner. So for whatever reason, this story struck me in a new way today, because what I hear Jesus saying in this parable is that I feel like each and every day we are given the invitation to come to a feast. The invitation to come and experience the life and the opportunities that God places before us. God puts people in our lives and possibilities around us every day to help people, to feed, to speak with them, or to meet people. Just this morning, I saw on the cover of the Sunday Macomb Daily, it was sitting on my garage, or the driveway, and right on the cover, it was screaming for help wanted. And it was an advertisement, basically an article sharing how Meals on Wheels was looking for people to help deliver food. And my in-laws do this. They love it. It's been so meaningful, not only for the two of them, but also for the people they serve. And I'll be honest, I responded in my mind a lot like the people in that parable did. It's like, oh, sorry, God, I've got too many things going on right now. Please accept my regrets. As if that news article was a message to me saying, here's what I want you to do for me today. And that could have totally been God inviting me to experience a new opportunity, to experience a feast that would be set before me, right? And again, I truly believe each and every day God sends us invitations. But how do we respond? Excuses? I mean, new opportunities are rarely ever convenient. I've noticed that many times. Usually it is not what we already had planned for our day or how it was supposed to go, right? So often I get it in my mind, well, if this, and this all happen, I'm going to call that a success. Just today, coming into the office, I had 2 phone calls that took over an hour together which totally got in the way of what I was, I had to write down my message. I've got a sermon to write still tonight. There's a congregational meeting. It's like, if I get this, this, and this done, great. And then 2 phone calls happened. And it would be easy to see that as a burden or a hassle or an inconvenience. But how I choose to see that is a new opportunity. In a difficult time, kind of as our theme would share, like what new opportunities are coming through a time when, I don't know, we don't feel like looking for new opportunities. But I truly believe God just puts them in our lives, on our doorstep. Last week, our neighbor said, "Hey, I didn't know you golf. I really want to go golfing with you." Now, I'm not going to go golfing yet, but there's a new opportunity that could draw the 2 of us closer together. Who knows what might come of that? But I feel like that is God saying, here's an invitation to come to my feast, to experience new life in your midst. And every day, every time I have the opportunity to say, well, it's not going to work this time, or hey, I'm going to give it a shot and see where this leads. So that's my encouragement this week, to be on the lookout for the invitations from God to try something new. Because who knows? There could just be the thing that you've been yearning for. I think one thing that I will always take from this pandemic is that it forced us to go online with our worship services. I mean, could have said, yeah, we should have been doing that 10 years ago, right? Every church should have been, but now we are. Right. I'm continually being shared stories of people who are in different countries, or the last one I just heard yesterday, someone from South Dakota has been watching us because they haven't found a church and it was so meaningful to them. So even in the midst of this pandemic, a new opportunity was given us. And because we didn't make some excuse like, well, it's going to cost quite a bit of money, we are experiencing a feast that God has put before us. So let that be encouragement for you. And just be on the lookout this week, for the rest of today, for the days to come, on things that may first come across as inconveniences or burdens. But maybe, just maybe, that's God saying, hey, give this a shot. I've got something important for you to see.
I appreciate it. I think that's a new item that I need to add to my checklist, is to look for opportunities that God is giving, because Lisa has been wonderful throughout many of our conversations between parenting and Monday Motivation about the need to have a checklist of kind of that to-dos, so that we can kind of feel some sense of control, but also structure to our days. Yeah. And you've added, perhaps the most important is where is God leading us in this day? I'm one that's always yelling at God that, give me the burning bush, will you, God? I mean, make it a little clear,
Yeah, hit me with a brick. Yeah.
Exactly. Hit me with the 2x4, not with the headline to the paper. Come on, something right. A little. So thank you for that. Janet, what do you have in mind for us today? What are you thinking about for just kind of a healthier response to this, and how we might kind of seek opportunities? What's on your mind?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I'm enjoying all the new opportunities, but I really want those old ways back again. I'm having a difficulty with this. I just want things back to whatever normal was with our family, with being able to go places, do things. But like our president said, it is what it is, right? So we need to adjust. As far as new opportunities, as far as health goes, this whole quarantining, maintaining to yourself has given us time and space to do things that we haven't been able to do before, such as when it pops into my mind, hey, I wonder how Lori's doing. Before, I would just say, I'll call her later. Well, now I hop on my phone, she just got out of the hospital, I hop on my phone and just give her a text, and just let her know that I'm thinking of her. So that helps me emotionally and physically. It kind of gets that mental checklist off of my mind that, oh yeah, I forgot, rather than laying in bed at 11 o'clock at night saying, oh, I forgot to text Lori. Now I can do it, because we have the time and space to do it. I'm enjoying the time and space. It's allowing Mark and I to do a lot of things that we have been putting off. We have lists of lists of lists of lists of, he's got them all subcategorized. Things we need to get done at home, things we want to do with our family, places we want to go, and
stuff we want to buy,
stuff that we need to get. So it's good to be organized. It's getting to the point though with me though, it's like, oh my gosh, now there's so many lists. I need to make a list of my lists. But we've gotten a lot of stuff done, which feels great. We've researched a couple of new exercise videos. We have a Amazon Prime stick, Fire Stick. So it has some built-in apps in it. So we've done that. We're finding that we don't have quite the energy level that we used to.
Which your own structures.
Yes. It's like, oh, I used to be able to do that, but which is giving us new opportunity and a new insight as far as health goes. My mind still says I'm 25 years old. My body and my energy level is saying, no, you're not. No, you're not. So that being said, it's just learning to manage this abundance of time is a challenge. Whereas before it was like you had so many things crammed into one day that you didn't really, like Pastor Dave was saying, if I do this, this, and this, then I can do this. Now it's prioritizing, which is feeling great. That's feeling great. And knowing and really having that time to think about, is this something that I really want to do? Is this something that God is calling me to do? Is this just something that's filling my time? So, we're trying to weed out those things that are just filling our time and being more conscious of doing things that fill a purpose, maybe for us, maybe for somebody else. Like texting Lori, hey, how are you doing? Just, hey, how are you doing? Four little words, just knowing something, telling somebody that we're thinking of them and caring about them. We have an exciting weekend coming up. We have a wedding. My niece is getting married, and her wedding has evolved, I don't know how many times. I think this is like the 6th version. And she was going to have a big wedding, traditionally big wedding, which got trimmed down, which got trimmed down, which got trimmed down. She has shown so much grace and so much resilience with it that it's just inspiring to us. And it should be a very lovely affair. It's only going to be 20 people or so. Mark will be singing. New opportunity for him to sing in a smaller wedding service. And it's just going to be nice just to have that intimacy rather than this big, huge wedding.
Yeah.
Right.
You can look at it as a letdown because you can't have 100 people there, or you can look at it as a benefit because you're going to be very intimate and close with the people that, the few that will be. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I've actually had a little bit different of an experience than you, Janet. It's for me, it's been more of a struggle to balance work life and home life, because working from home, work is always right in front of me on this computer. And so it's been so much that I've had more time to do. It's that I've had to kind of say, whoa, how do I, not stay seated in front of my computer for 12 hours and neglect my wife and daughter and pets and and everything else. So.
And I can see where that would be. As if somebody is not aware, we went through a huge transition with Mark retiring in March. So not only is he not working and following that structured day, now it's like, oh my gosh, I what do we do with ourselves? And we started out just filling our time, filling our time, because we're both very busy people. But Mikhail, I have heard that from our son, Mike. He's working at home right now with 2 little girls and a wife and working for GM. And he says, I just don't know when to turn it off, when to turn it on. I want to be upstairs with the family, but I've got work to do, and GM wants it done yesterday.
Now. Right.
Yes.
Right.
So, yeah,
Right.
not being able to really get out and be physical with his brothers or those kind of things. It's been a challenge. So I can
Definitely.
I
I'm
don't
going
know
to have
what
to add that, Mark. I'm going to have to add to my retirement planning. So when you retire and there's a pandemic, what do you, right? What
Yeah.
an incredible, who would have ever have thought that's how you would start your retirement, huh?
Well, if you see all those brochures and those TV commercials about here's the retirement, get on a cruise ship and Spain and all this stuff, that's
Right.
baloney, because it's not been that for me. It's been go home, stay home.
right.
But
Exactly. And make
Okay.
sure you don't. Yep.
Our,
Well,
our trips involve hopping on our bike. Today we took a bike ride from Crocker and Metro Parkway into the Lake St. Clair Metro Park, rode back out, did a few things there, and that's our big trip. That's our
Wonderful.
traveling. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
okay.
it's
Yeah,
all good.
it's okay.
That has been one good thing for me too, is I've rediscovered my backyard during
Mhm.
this. I had lost it through travel baseball. I forgot that I even had a barbecue and that, and now just looking for space to quietly get away and make a phone call or something. I've discovered, well, this is it's pretty incredible out here in nature. So hopefully I can keep that in my life.
Great.
Lisa, how are you today? And will you please share your wisdom on taking advantage of new opportunities so that we don't go crazy? I'm worried about my son who's up at Michigan Tech, and he sits in his dorm room, which is a little jail cell, and takes all his classes there, and he doesn't do anything to get outside. So it's a new opportunity to be away from home, but he's in jail, it seems like. But his personality, it works out. But for me, I would be going nuts. I'm already going a little cabin fever nuts. So help me out.
Well, as I thought about the whole topic, I came up like Dave. Something kept coming back to me. In Dave's case, it was a parable. In my case, not so much. So all I could think of was that the astronauts talk about when they say that there's a photograph of the world or they see the world from outer space, there's no real boundaries. Okay, so there's no boundaries on which country is which. There's no fences, there's no borders, which tells me that we should all take care of each other and the earth. And it reminds us that we are in this, whatever this may be, whether there's a pandemic or not, we are all in this together. So by using the terms we and us, we begin to get away from me and I. That can not only be dangerous to relationships, but it has been studied that people who use the term I and me have more heart attacks, and at that point they are more likely to die of a heart attack than their counter person who uses the term me or we and us. So I'm looking at perspective. As you can see, one of the opportunities and the biggest one that I see is gaining a new perspective. We focus sometimes on things that we view as negative, right? Financial problems, the economy, right? I believe that we will have an opportunity to rebuild the economy and the world, much like we have when we've had 2 devastating world wars and other things in the past. We've managed to rebuild. What makes us think we won't do that again? So the pandemic can open us up to see that we need to come together and work together to meet challenges. The Dalai Lama says that there's no less than 6 ways to find a perspective, okay? He says there's an up and a down, there's a front and a back, and a right and a left, okay? By focusing on these different perspectives, we can free ourselves from a lot of negative thought patterns. Okay, then that means we have less negative behavior. So most of you know that I work with a lot of different kinds of people, a variety of ages. So I thought, since I've been doing this specifically pandemic style from home, I thought I would ask and pose the question, what kinds of opportunities have you found in the last 6 months, to a variety of my clients? So I thought I'd share a couple of them with you
Please.
today.
Yeah.
One of them said, I have noticed that I used to stress over how I look and the way I dress. I figured out during this time that people don't care. So here I was worried about what others think, and I just need to worry about what I think. So she says, I'm learning what I like and who I am. Another is that I have learned to really work on my craft, in other words, their job. I am more focused and energized because I have had to look at my job differently. It is sometimes hard, but I can look at this as a challenge and an opportunity to learn. Different perspective. I've expanded some relationships and ended some as well. I am closer to my family. I am much more intentional about who I spend my time with. Clearly, they see a good therapist. I've learned that this isn't bad. I can see and meet people differently. The last one said, I have practiced more mindfulness. I am learning about my own identity and my own beliefs. So the Dalai Lama says a healthy perspective is the foundation of joy and happiness. It helps, and this gives us a new way to see the world and experience the world. Changing the way we see the world in turn changes the way we feel and act, which, the Dalai Lama says, changes the world itself. So I believe that this pandemic and this isolation isn't stopping us. I think that it's actually showing us a lot of new ways of doing things. It's all about perspective and how you choose to look at things.
Very well